This morning I'm going to be drawing from a car with my little travel kit at this building. This is the Harbour Commissioners building in Belfast. So come with me while we draw this and paint this building. So here I am in the coziness of my car, and sometimes I like to do this where I've got a bit of time this morning and get to go to the cinema, which is amazing. But I have about an hour and a half to be able to do a drawing, and I want to be able to use that time. So this is my little travel kit, and I'm going to show you what's inside, and it really has all that you need to be able to do a watercolour and an ink sketch no matter where you are. And I find that life is busy. There's lots going on. I have two children and I have a job, and just there's lots going on. So whenever I can get a hold of half an hour, 15 minutes or an hour to be able to paint and draw, it's just a joy. So come with me and I'll show you what's in my little travel kit and what you can have in yours to help you paint when you can have the opportunity to do it. Okay, so this is my little travel kit here. And they even have arrows on it to be able to help me to know what way to open it up. Let me see. Okay. So here we are. And it has got everything that I might need in it. I'm going to see if I can put it underneath so you can all see what I'm doing. Okay, so I've got my little baohong Academy watercolour paper. And there's the painting that I had done from before. So what I want to do, I always have this little pen knife on my keys. So the best way to get this out, and it's good to be able to show this because it can be quite awkward, find there's always an opening on 4 gum strip paper, and then I just run it round like that, obviously making sure that you're not going to cut yourself, and then that releases it. The thing that's brilliant about this type of paper is that it's held down. You know, you're not it's not going to bow and buckle on you. So I've got my baohong paper. It's 18 centimeters by 12.5 centimeters. I've then got my favorite brushes, which are the Gold Tack One Synthetic Simply Daler Rowneys, and they're just fantastic. I will simply, because we're in the car and we're doing this, I will simply use this brush here. I've got a little jar that had a slight crack in it. We bought from TK Maxx and I never took back, but I keep it in the car, and there's always water from the kids having bottles of water and things that they need. So I keep that in the car, just noticing there's fluff in it. Anyway, so that's going to be my water, so it just sits in the little cup holder to my left hand side. I'm going to use Faber Castell Pitt pens. They're filled with Indian ink, absolutely brilliant, pretty much instantly waterproof. I've got my ink pad and my stampers. That's very much specific to my kit. I have another set of brushes that I won't use because I don't really like them. They're natural hair. It's too soft. Always carry my business cards in case somebody asks me about where they can get my paintings. I have this little watercolor brush, so it's always filled with water just in case I haven't got water in the car. I've forgotten, because that happens too. Pencil, which I don't use. Unipin, which is good to have. Mini stamper. Sharpener, always good to have a sharpener when you have watercolor pencils. These are the Derwent ink tints, and they're the only ones that I would use. So we've got them there. They're always there as an option. I love having options. Whenever you're going to draw something, it's just always good to have options. So that's why that stays in there. And then a little business card from a guy who'd given that to me. So we're going to make a start. Oh yes, and then finally I was gifted this little Daler Rowney set. I would normally use Winsor Newton or Daniel Smith, and it takes time to get to know the paints. So I've used this maybe 4 or 5 times. It's a nice little set, nice little travel set. So let's make a start. So the building that we're doing is over on this side here, and what I want to do is only take a little bit of the building, and I'm going to, as always, put a photograph up of it on the community side. Okay, just want to check where we're at. That's great. Now I'm going to start at the top left, so just going to jump straight in there, and we're just going to keep the pen moving. Now the thing with buildings is, if you're continually looking for accuracy, you'll probably be deeply disappointed. And I just find the benefit in just stepping in and I mean, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now, just taking myself off and drawing buildings, and it's a real joy. So I'm looking to find just some of the perspective angles, and you'll tell that I go quiet when I'm trying to figure some things out. This building is really pretty fancy, and you can, if you don't keep an eye on it, get yourself all overwhelmed about the different shapes and things that are going on. And you don't need to do that. Just keep tackling it. Just keep looking at it. I've already decided, my mindset before I start is this doesn't have to be perfect, and I also know that there is so much merit when you think it is a total mess to just keep going. Yesterday I was in the studio. I had probably about 10 or 15 minutes before dinner. I do the dinners, and I was thinking, right, the spaghetti's on. It's all about seizing these little moments. But anyway, thought the spaghetti's on, and I really want to do a loose drawing of we were in Sligo, as you know from the video, and I thought I want to do just a quick loose really sketch with a brush with some Indian ink. And I looked at it and thought, oh, I don't know, and it's a bit like the fear had started to come on me about things, and I know to ignore that, but it was a stretch for me. I was thinking, geez, I don't know whether this is good at all, and all of those questions that we all go through were racing through my mind, and I just kept going, and I left it. I have a friend who says she puts the paintings in the naughty corner sometimes, and so I left it and came back to it several hours later. I had left the house to go out and see someone, and came back to it, and I thought, it's actually quite nice. And it was just that perspective of that time. And I mean, I've already decided, and I know that I've said in several videos, I'm not going to just ditch it and say that's awful, because when you do that, you basically set down that that's an option. I don't want that to be an option. I want to be able to continue to work on the drawings that I'm doing, and to not accept them as failures. And what that does then is gives me the courage to just keep going, and also to do things like lives, because I mean, if it has to be perfect, you're never going to do a live. You'd be totally hit with the fear of this could be a total disaster every single time you were doing it. So that's what I did yesterday. I just wanted to be open with you all about that, and say, there's definitely times you think this is not going in the direction I want it to go, and then you can give in to that fear and stop, and you don't want to do that. So I'm just enjoying sketching this, seeing where this is going to go. I'm making decisions. If you notice here, the building obviously carries on down here, but I'm not going to add to that. I just decided to leave that. And then you've got these little stone, they look like spindles on a banister. And what I do is I find like a pattern of doing that to kind of represent it. And that's, let me see, I'm just having a look here to see where this is going. And then I just carry on that pattern. So it's an ornate building. I mean, it's got lots and lots of detail, and I get to choose what bits of the detail I want to capture and what bits I want to leave. Part of the joy of being an artist, editing. So this is building is super duper ornate, and it's so I'm not going to capture that. I was looking to see there, do I want to put that window in, and I think sometimes I do the dot to dot technique, and I probably should do a video about that. So it's hard to maneuver my hand, so I'm just gonna, sometimes it's just actually the courage of making those marks and just getting in there. And then this is going at that angle. It's another part of the building. and then that is carrying on at that angle there. So we're just looking to capture the shapes of the building. And it's amazing how, when you just get the different lines, how that really does begin to give that the structure. And it is a keeping going. When you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is not right, I've got this wrong, you just have to keep going. And those lines there and there. Okay, so just looking at the detail of the building, and I am not overly concerned about it being completely right. As I've said several times, I really want to hammer that point home, that perfectionism will rob you of ever doing any art. You will, because look, one of my drawing heroes really is Quentin Blake, and I bought one of, I think I've talked about him before. So there's the spindle technique, circle at the top, line down, and circle at the bottom, and it just gives you that feel of the spindles. And I'm not counting how many spindles there are on the building. I'm not a photorealist. I'm just looking to capture that feel of the spindle, and I'm doing it very, very quickly. So taut circle down. There you go. I missed it. I did the line at the top and the circle in the middle, but it's not a deal breaker. We're just looking to capture the feel of that part of the building. Okay, so we've got all these different shapes and all these different things going on here, and I don't know that the perspective is great on it. I am unsure, jury's out, but what we're going to do is we are going to keep going here and keep going with the different lines and things that are happening. And that part of the building there, and the line across here. And then a lot of buildings have these repeated patterns, so we're just going to keep going with that. So anyway, we're starting to talk about Quentin Blake. And Quentin Blake, he just has this profound ability to capture a scene in a few strokes of a pen or a pencil or a brush or whatever it is that he happens to be using, and it's free, and there's just a lot of joy in it. And I think that that's something that I want to be able to capture as well. So I'm just trying to capture those things. Okay, so we're then got this part of the building is coming down, and we're going to make another line of this across here. I'm going to make that intersection go across there, and we're going to carry on this kind of square business in this repeated pattern of the building. Now this is terribly fiddly, and there's so much of this that actually, as I'm doing it, is inaccurate, but it will. I have faith that it's going to give the feel of the building. So I'm just adjusting what side of those little details in the building you can see. And then we're going to go down with the pipe, which is nice, strong, vertical there. We've got some other fancy lines there. Other lines going across. Now the more that I do this, the freer I'm becoming. Okay, now, so along here then we've got the start of these windows. They're just trying to get the overarching shape. If you're doing a line that you feel needs to be super duper straight, then one of the good things to do is to breathe in, because when you breathe in, you're not going to have any shakiness. Hence Colin doesn't talk. These dots, if you notice, I'm touching and making dots here as we go, and then we've got this side of the building here, and then it starts to move across to the other. I'm going to just suggest What we all need is permission. You need permission to be able to draw the way you draw and to enjoy doing it. And that is the heart behind doing these videos, is that you, similar to my friend Toby Sketchless, you get to enjoy and feel permission to just paint the way you paint and draw the way you draw, and just enjoy it, because I can hear my voice has got all serious, because it's meant to be enjoyable. Creating is meant to be enjoyable. Now, what I'm going to show you here is now that line actually goes down further like that. So I'm just gonna, and I'm treating, you know, where you're, you know, where there people sketch, you know, with this kind of sketchy kind of line. I'm just doing that with a pen. So these are the sort of motif, which I looked up today. I heard the word motif last night, and I never really understood what it meant. But a motif is a significant repeating pattern, or just a repeating pattern. So I sort of dance it around, because it's all this ornate detail on the building. Now, love doing a window. Absolutely love doing a window. And windows, you have to observe how they actually look in the perspective. So that window, you can't see this left-hand side of it, but what you can see is, right, my lines are really shaky here. You get to decide whether that's okay. I'm happy with it being okay. And then on this one, I'm still not seeing, but it's actually moving. Feels like it's moving. Yeah, it's moving actually further along. So there's more of the, so I'm going to start the window more there. The side, you can't see any of the left-hand side at all. Lying down, capturing the window frames, and across. This one, make it even more so. And again, the repeated buildings typically have lots and lots of repeated patterns. Okay, so that's all I'm going to capture, and I'm going to stick the signature in. As I said, I don't have loads of time. So next thing that I do then is I go, so that was the, sorry, wrong way around. That was the finest brush in that little set. You can get these sets of Faber Castell on Amazon or Hobbycraft. Now going for the brush. Now this is the second look, and I am looking to find where the shadows are. So I'm looking for the shadows that I want to stick out. And you can see how instantly just doing that adds immediate depth. And you again can make certain assumptions when you've looked, had a quick study of the building, seen where the darkest parts are, like under all of these kind of eaves here. You've got these shadows that are worth noting. And these dark lines will work with the watercolor. So again, the spindles, I have looked and observed that under the spindles, there are these kind of dark lines. So I am literally just dotting them in. And hopefully, so in between here, this is really interesting, in between these little spindles. So it's the top and around, top and around, top and around, top and around. Is that getting everything? Yeah, top and around. And then I'm going to make the assumption that that's on the other side as well. Top and around. Okay, and these get slighter at this point here, but still worth, well, I'm not going to do it on that side. Now, very interesting when you come to the windows. That curl there, darker to the side. Curl there, darker to the side. And tops of the windows. And tops of the windows, and actually down these sides here. And then you have the pipework. So I'm gonna make a mark of that there and across here. Okay, so this is the basic drawing, and the next bit then I want to get in is Harbour commission. So you can fast forward this bit if you want to. It's a really important part of the process for me, and I think it warrants. I don't know what your process is going to be for you, but find out what it is, find out what you like to do, and you know, the little stampers for me have become really a signature to the work that I'm doing, you know. I drew this building way back in 2020 when I had just started to paint again, and I remember coming away from it thinking, oh, it really wasn't a good painting. And yet, and a friend I had met on Instagram just had commented and said he thought it was lovely, and it just, hearing somebody else's perspective and borrowing that was just so helpful to me. I'm hoping Harbour commission has 2 M's and 2 S's. If it doesn't, it's a misspell, but sure. It's alright. It's alright with me anyway. It's nice whenever it's... that S was upside down. Roll with the punches. Now it is a grey day in Belfast, although the sun is poking out. So I'm already thinking about the colour that I'm going to be using, and it's going to be a black mixed with a little bit of navy to get a Payne's grey, because I don't have Payne's grey with me here. So we can jump at this point. Got my brush, got my water. Gonna bring my water up here so you guys can see. So I am normally doing I would do normally 2 or normally 3 lifts of water. So this is a good way, actually, you can see the colours that I'm mixing. So that's an ivory black, and then going for the blue to get that Payne's grey. And you can obviously make that as rich or as not as you want. Straight in. Just capturing it along here. Okay, so it's a grey day in Belfast, and I'm just letting that on this lovely cotton paper. So you can do that. Now what you could do actually is, if you had a tissue paper or something like that to give, because skies are rarely just solid, so what you can do is take a bit of trying to find some tissue paper and just lift a little, and that'll give you just that little bit of definition. You can also then lift and drop it on for different depths at different places. Okay, so this building is made up of pretty much the same. It's the sandstone, and it could be from Scrabo sandstone, where I'm from in Newton Ards, which is on the Ards Peninsula. But so that's yellow ochre. I'm not sure, don't know this palette that well in terms of all of the colors, so I am just mixing here to try and find the color that I'm looking for, to see if I can arrive at it. Now it is quite a yellowy color, so I'm going to go for let me see, there we go, that's a nice color there. Now I think take a little bit more of that, so there we go. I'm happy with that color. So just going to be looking to see, now it's a little bit vibrant, so I'm going to add in some more ivory black or lamp black, this could be, and I want to weaken it, so lifting colour from the water pot and then lifting it across to weaken it down so it's not quite so vibrant. There we go, I'm happier with that. And actually a wee bit more of the darker, lift it a wee touch higher. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm much happier with that. Now I don't want it to mix in with the sky. So now what I want to do then, actually, just you start to get a little bit of strategy for what you're doing. So we've got lighter and darker, just touching in the ochre to be able to add that into this top bit. So I'm just looking to see, so basically there's one color happening here in this building, and we're just going to be varying that around ever so slightly. Okay, so with this tone that I have here, I want to then be able to take it and capture those spindles, just dancing it across. Okay, and then this and here. Notice what I'm doing with the brush. Notice how I'm working with the brush. I'm leaving deliberately negative space as well. So I want to lift the darker tone here for this little bit, just to communicate that there's a bit more shadow there. And across here again is darker as well, so just using that same tone. Now if these mix, that's all right, it's not going to bother me. And again, under the shadows, just dotting basically as we go along. And okay, so then also what I want to do is, I've no cloth with me, and it would be good to have a cloth to be able to, do you know what, we're using what we'll have. I'll not show you it because it's a tissue, but anyway, keep a tissue to my left hand side so that I can dry off the brush if needs to. And then it has this, I'm going to warm it up ever so slightly, has this kind of warmth coming. Just notice that difference there, just a little touch of difference. And then I can lighten that up even further because it's a little bit brighter on that side, and just sort of listen it down, get a splat of color. Again, it's another thing I like. Now interestingly, this area has, now actually I've nearly forgotten that, so that nice light tone, I'm just going to move on across there. I'm thinking in layers, and I don't think I'm going to have the time to really build up the layers, but I'm going to give you the basic principle of what I'm doing. So get that, just mixing again. I'll bring it in the shot, sorry, mixing again, and this time it's grayer, so I can add the black and some of the blue. So the black and the blue does a Payne's grey, but when you add a blue to a brown, just a little touch, it's going to make it that little bit grayer. So I want to keep a little bit of the tone of the building, but a noticeable shift. Now I can warm it up again, and another little dot of that. There we go. I'm happy with that. Now, so let's see. I'm just looking, seeing what's actually there. And I'm going to lift a little bit stronger just to give the impression there's a little bit of shadowing. Just a little bit of shadowing occurring. Okay, now these windows, I just want to give this idea of the windows. So I'm just mixing again to try and find this, just trying to capture those little bits. I'm being careful because I don't want to cross to the edge. Now, I am going to leave the windows for the minute, and I'm dancing around all over the place here because I'm very conscious of time. Just need to get a bit of the cinema on time. Okay, and so I've mixed the darker tone for some of the shadows up here where this chimney is. So it's not quite dry yet, and I'm happy that it's not quite dry. So, and then there as well, it's just a little bit darker. Okay, and it's darker again in here, darker again in here. So I'm just adding in those little bits, and all of a sudden it feels like the building is modeling that little bit more again as well, which is just great and what I'm looking for. And I'm using the watercolor to bleed it across, and I'm going to do the same. I'm pleased with this. This is working. So there is this also continual assessment which is going on, which is this working, and is there anywhere else in the painting where this can apply, and then you can use that. Okay, and the next thing then is the windows. Now windows, interestingly, windows, so I'm going to mix the Payne's grey. So I've got my black, I've got my blue, and my two Payne's grey now, and then I want a little bit of green in there. Windows, for some reason, normally have like a greeny kind of tone. Now that's a little bit much, so if I get a bit of brown, that's going to pull it back. Now it's gone to a greeny colour because of the, this is actually all right. I'm going to blue it up a little bit more. Okay, and that's going to be my tone for the windows. There we go, pleased with that now. Yeah, just observing where it is. And the window panes are all different. So there's this wee sort of blind across there. We're just giving the impression. This is effectively a watercolor and ink sketch, so I'm just wanting to capture like a basic impression of what's going on there. I'm gonna lift some of that, then mix it back in here just to give me a darker shadow, to give this idea that this part of the building is that bit darker than the rest. Okay, and now we're gonna, and also the interestingly, the chimney pot, often chimney pots are completely different in colour than the rest of the building, but in this case they're not, they're exactly the same. So it's maybe a little too strong, but now I have to be careful because they are so close to the sky, and I don't particularly want it to bleed into the sky. Now that pigment's a little bit strong, so what I do is, I'm going to show you this. So when the pigment's strong, I take my brush, I dry my brush so that there's not much moisture on it, and then I can lift. Isn't that a handy tool? And then what I can do is, I've already discovered that that's too strong, so I take lift it, so just lift the brush in, let it seep into the bristles. And there we are. Excuse me. Excuse me. So I'm going to just keep looking around here. It's not really drying because it's cold in the car, so I need to be able to work with that. So what I'm doing is darkening it down again. I'm just going to drop, now I need it to be a good bit darker actually. Just lifting that black. Just observing, looking. Okay, and again across here. And again under here. I want it to be darker. Just dotting across. And I want to get that part of the window that bit darker, just to give you that idea of shadow. So I'm just lifting and dropping and letting that go across. And do a little line down there on each side to give that idea that it's modelled that little bit. And then some of these details here, it's on the side. And that's where I'm going to leave this. So there you are. This is the Harbour commission in Belfast. I'll move it up closer. So this is the top down, and then my little stampers. And it's just a a nice way to do a little sketch in the car. So get yourself a travel kit that you can keep somewhere accessible to you. The car is a great place to be able to do sketches, especially when you have the odd half hour or 15 minutes or 10 minutes. Just enjoy sketching. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Any questions and comments that you have, I would love to be able to help you out, and just get in touch with me. Have a great day and just enjoy painting. Bye for now.